Okay, great. I think we'll go ahead and get started. A few more people are joining us, and that's great. We'll just keep admitting them. And before we get started, everybody, we want to treat this very much like a discussion-based roundtable. If you have any questions throughout this presentation, please feel free to unmute yourself, show your video, and ask that question. We want to keep this short so that you guys can get on with your days as well, but we're available for as long as you guys need us, because this is really great information, very critical. It's going to help you guys grow internationally and be more economically resilient. We have a big thank you to the Ogden City and Weber Chamber of Commerce. And before we get started, Brent, would you like to give a few welcoming words?
Sure. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. It's really great to have this group of participants. And I also want to just start out by thanking the World Trade Center Utah and also the Ogden-Weber Chamber of Commerce, our partners in this event. One thing that I'd just like to note is when this all started, and we conducted a pretty large outreach effort to local businesses here in Ogden across all industries. And what we heard loud and clear from businesses was that any opportunities to expand revenue to areas where they could grow or generate new sources of revenue would be welcome information. And so obviously this fits right into line of what we heard and what we're trying to achieve, which is to help businesses that even if they aren't facing revenue shortages, which there are a few, but everybody just to expand opportunities to new and different sources of revenue and business growth. So we're really excited to partner with World Trade Center Utah on this event and to share this information.
Great, thanks so much. Just as way of introduction, my name is Hannah Lowry. I'm the events manager at World Trade Center Utah. We're really happy to be able to present this information for you. With me are my colleagues, Jim Porter, our trade services manager, and Nicole Sherwood, our director of grants, and she's the state STEP grant director. For those of you who don't know, World Trade Center Utah is the international arm of the state. We promote exports and we find ways to attract foreign investment. And so without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Jim. I'll pull up the slides really quickly and I'll let him take it away.
Thanks, Hannah. You know, everyone listening in, really, this isn't so much a webinar as it is a roundtable discussion. So I would suggest, just like David's done, that if you feel comfortable doing it, that you show your face. I'd love to see you and chat. I might even ask for a raise of hands or two as we talk. Again, as Hannah mentioned, I think we've scheduled this webinar or this meeting for something like an hour, but honestly, we can be done in half an hour if people don't have questions or, you know, if there's not a lot of follow through. Otherwise, we're here to answer your questions. So please unmute yourself, cut in wherever you'd like. Feel free to interrupt and ask questions. Really, what we're trying to do is help Utah companies find ways to, as Brent said, increase your revenue during this time. Be aggressive, find ways to keep your businesses open, and frankly, to take advantage of some of the disruption that's been hurting us all for the past few months. So without you know, any more introductory information there, Hannah, if you want to jump 2 slides in. Perfect. As Hannah mentioned, we're part of our mission is to help Utah businesses to find new markets to sell into and to expand their sales into in international markets that they're already selling into. And so we do that in a number of different ways that I want to talk about through here with you. But before I do that, I can see several faces here. Of all of you on the call, are any of you already exporting? If you are, would you raise your hand? Or you can raise your hand like physically on the screen, or there's actually a little raise hand button you can click. Anyone here already exporting? Okay, this is perfect. We're talking to a great crowd who can take advantage of anything that we have to offer. So let's say that you're a small business. You don't even have to be a small business, but let's say you're a small business. By SBA standards, Melinda, I see you're on the call. So for a lot of manufacturers, that means less than 500 employees, or sometimes there's revenue targets that you have to be under. You can come and take advantage of all these services, or the majority of these services cost-free. So let's talk about what they are. Let's pretend you're a small business, you know absolutely nothing about exporting, but you think you got a product that could work in international markets. Well, you know what? The first thing you should do is call me. My information is on these slides. Hannah's sending out it. Feel free to shoot me a call or an email and ask me about getting training. We have a number of different training programs that we deliver here at World Trade Center. Our export boot camps are probably our headliners, but we also work with the Manufacturing Extension Partnership to put on export tech. And you know what? If you had a question, you could always just call me up and ask me whatever it may be. In the last couple of weeks, I've got calls from individuals who are trying to figure out how to sell into Italy, who are trying to figure out how to vet potential manufacturers in China and Vietnam, and a number of other things. We want to be open to you guys. We want to make sure that we're accessible and that you can come and ask us questions. So you can come and get that training from me. Those boot camps would be like 2-day intensive training sessions, or you can do something a little bit simpler, like just come and ask and set up an appointment with me, and I can take you through how to finance exports in an afternoon, or probably less than an afternoon, in just an hour or so. But training is the first thing we offer, because you know what, you got to figure out exactly what the scope of work is for going international, what some of the big pitfalls are, what considerations you need to make for your business. And we want to make sure that every Utah company has the chance to get the training that they need to do that. There are other partners who also help provide that training. I should mention that Salt Lake City Community College and the SBA, the SBA's Global Trade Center, are partnering to put on again their Global Business Management Certificate. That should be this fall, and that's a fantastic course you take. It's Wednesday nights for 10 weeks or so, and you get all the fundamentals that you need to understand how to export. So if you're wondering if your company is ready to export, or if you're wondering how you could go about doing that, just call me. Just call me and I'll direct you to the right program. I'll get you the training that you need. Additionally, we can help Utah companies to figure out exactly where they ought to be looking in the world. We subscribe to a number of different databases, and we have a lot of public information that we can use to help you figure out where there might be high potential for your product. And so we do that in a number of different ways. We can help you narrow down exactly which markets you should be looking at. We can take deep dives into those markets to help you understand things like, what are the standards that my product or service would have to certify for to ensure that I can sell into that market? What are the taxes and tariffs going to be if I decide to do business in this market? These are all things we can help you to identify. And we can also really help you narrow it down to those 1 or 2 markets where you're really going to spend time and help you build a plan. I'm always surprised. I shouldn't say I'm always surprised. I find that companies are always surprised by the amount of opportunity that's out there. I think American businesses tend to focus on the domestic market, the U.S. market, and don't always consider that outside the U.S. market are billions of potential customers with the kind of cash to spend out of pocket that they might be great customers or consumers of whatever it is that you're offering. So happy to offer that service. Again, you can always call me and talk to me. I'm happy to get our trade services team working on research for you. Once you know where to go, you've got to figure out a little bit about what it's going to take to do business there. And our market entry planning can help you to do that. This is kind of similar to everything else I'm saying. Once you've got a market you want to focus on, or maybe you've done business in Brazil before, so you understand Brazil, and you want to come to me and say, hey, how can I make sure that I do this the right way? I'm in a new industry now, or this is a new or different product. How do I ensure that I do this correctly? You can come to us and we'll take you through the planning process, figuring out your marketing and sales plans, understanding the strongest distribution channels. What are the best-selling brands or companies that you're competing against in market? How do you ensure that your contracts are enforceable? These are all questions that we can help you to answer if you come and talk to us. There have been a countless number of companies who have come and taken advantage of these services. I think of Electric Power Solutions is a company up in Cache Valley who came to one of our export boot camps, got some research, and fairly quickly was getting grants to come with us to the Paris Air Show, or to the Singapore Air Show, or to other opportunities that we provide to get boots on the ground and to make sales. Going international can sometimes feel very daunting, but with the training we offer, the research we provide, and the market entry planning we can help you to go through, we can simplify that process for you, help you avoid pitfalls, and find really profitable opportunities for your business. So I would urge each of you to take advantage of that, or if you have companies that you know, if you're friends with someone who owns a business who really should take a look at this, please refer my information over to them. I'll make myself accessible to be able to talk to you and help you figure out which programs might make sense for you right now, even in the COVID-19 world. Beyond that kind of initial stage, training, research, planning that we can provide, World Trade Center Utah also helps companies to get their boots on the ground abroad. And we do that through the grant programs that Nicole is going to talk about in depth a little later on, but also through the trade missions and shows, the excursions that we organize for Utah companies around the world. Those can include governor-led trade missions, which focus on a specific market, and we help you find B2B matchmaking opportunities in that market, along with things like embassy receptions that we organize, or visits to particular economic players or civic leaders who we have discussions with. These are fantastic opportunities to get to know a market a little bit better and to meet face-to-face with people who otherwise you wouldn't be able to meet face-to-face with. Now, we're not going on trade missions right now because we're in a COVID-19 world, and for the time being, that means travel is restricted. So instead, what we've done is organize virtual trade missions that you can take advantage of. We just finished up a virtual trade mission with India, but in the next few weeks, we're going to be meeting with Israeli officials. You should, for example, if you're a defense supplier, we've organized meetings with Ministry of Defense officials in Israel who can tell you about procurement opportunities and how to take advantage of the foreign military financing and military aid that the U.S. gives to Israel. Israel spends about $2.3 billion of that back in the U.S. every year, so huge opportunity for Utah businesses. Additionally, you could, I think in the future, we're going to have virtual trade missions to Canada and to Japan and to a few other locations. I think the UK is another one that's pretty high on our list. So as long as we can't be traveling, what we can do is help you meet the right people face-to-face virtually through Zoom, through one-on-one meetings that we can help you to find. So please reach out to us if any of those seem interesting to you. You can also subscribe to our newsletter, which will help you keep up to date on all the opportunities that are available through World Trade Center. Now, I've been talking at you all for a while and haven't heard any questions, so let me stop and ask, what questions do you have about the programs or services that we offer, or elsewise, right? There's all of us are dealing with the volatility of COVID-19 right now. Do any of you have questions about doing business internationally that we can help answer while we're on the call with you?
Hey, Jim, can you just talk kind of through how the virtual trade missions work and what that actually looks like and how it happens and something like that?
Absolutely. So the virtual trade missions, we work for a few months prior with some of the key players in the market. That can include the trade ministry for that country. It includes the right chambers of commerce. It includes the embassy officials in that country. It also includes local players who have Utah connections, businesses that have invested in Utah, or Utah alumni, or we call our diaspora of professionals, Utahns who live outside the U.S. Who are still connected and want to connect Utah to that country in any way possible. So we work with them to set up usually a series of virtual meetings, just like this one, where you could learn about a number of different topics. We tend to be industry focused and we tend to be business development focused. So for example, in Israel, we're putting together a series of meetings with Ministry of Defense officials so that defense suppliers here in Utah can learn about how to find and bid on RFPs for the Israeli military. But similarly, if you do any work, I think in water management and efficiencies, especially as it relates to agriculture, that's a clear need for Israel right now, in a place where we've got specialty skills here in Utah that could be sold to the Israelis. So we'll set up a number of different meetings where you can learn about what conditions are like on the ground, what players in the industry are looking for. You can meet some of those players in that industry and network, all of course over Zoom. That usually happens over the course of a few days, if not a week. We'll have a series of different virtual events that you can take advantage of. And so if you wanted to do that, you could reach out to me. You could reach out to Hannah as well, or Nicole, or Courtney Ray, who organizes these in our offices. If you reach out to us early enough, and I suggest you get on our website, take a look at the list of upcoming virtual trade missions. If any of those seem interesting to you, let us know now, because oftentimes we can help tailor interactions for you and for your interest if you let us know early enough what you want to take a look at or who it is you might want to meet. Across the world, everyone's shut down right now, or at least following pretty strict social distancing guidelines. They're not traveling. And so our ability to get people who you want to meet with onto one of these virtual meetings is actually really high. It's better than it's ever been, because people are eager to do business and are eager to kind of get out of their day-to-day, which for now usually doesn't mean, usually just happens in your office.
Great. Jim, we have a question from Chuck. What are some of the best opportunities you see right now? And is there a market demand out there?
That is a great question. And the answer in my mind depends a lot on what industry that you're serving. So if you take a look at over the last few months, there's a few industries that actually have done very well, as well as a few different distribution channels that have done very well. So clearly, if you're selling a luxury good, this has not been a great time for you. Or if you're in tourism, this has not been a great time for you. And we want to make sure that you take advantage of whatever resources are available, either PPP loans, economic injury disaster loans, state grants. If you're in one of those industries and you're struggling, know that there are other resources available. Now the question is about where is there opportunity? I'll tell you, anything to do with healthcare, there's opportunity. That's everything from PPE to diagnostic equipment, any kind of medical device. There's been a lot of demand in that life sciences cluster, that life sciences category, those product categories. Additionally, if you have a strong e-commerce strategy, you're likely to be doing a little bit better than your competitors who don't have an e-commerce strategy. So if you're selling goods primarily online, then you've done a lot better as fewer and fewer people go to the retail outlets, or those retail outlets aren't purchasing from the wholesalers, right? Direct to customer e-commerce has done very well in the short term. And I'm trying to remember what some of the other, as I was looking at it, what some of the other industries that were doing really well are. The first one that comes to mind was anything related to healthcare and life sciences. There is demand right now, but it's industry related. If you have questions about where that demand might be, I'd suggest you come to me and take advantage of some of our market research, and we can help you figure out where in the world people are buying what you're selling. Any other questions? Free, open? Okay, then I'm going to turn the time over now to Nicole. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to talk about one other thing. Thank you, Hannah, for reminding me. Before I go, I want everyone to know about the Utah's new Industry Resource Alliance. So at the very beginning of this year, probably in January, a few organizations go how we could better support manufacturers in the state. So if you're a manufacturer, perk your ears up, because there are some fantastic new resources coming down the pipe specifically for you, specifically to help with COVID-19 recovery. So those organizations, the University of Utah's Manufacturing Extension Partnership, Utah State Universities, their manufacturing support group, the Utah Manufacturers Association, the UAMI, which is Utah's Advanced Manufacturing and Materials Initiative, as well as us, World Trade Center Utah. We all came together to say, how can we better help manufacturers across the state? And so we're slowly rolling out a set of resources manufacturers can take advantage of. The first of which being self-guided education on how to open up effectively, how to ensure that your manufacturing operations are set up in such a way that you can avoid COVID-19 workforce-related disruptions. So if any of you are interested in that kind of training, I'm happy to send you the link. We're providing it for free for anyone who's interested in it. If you're interested in something more guided, there's also a 45-minute session that one of our partners can put on for you, also for free, to teach you about how to open up safely, how to ensure that you're not putting your employees in danger, or at least putting them at risk of having to quarantine and not being able to be available to actually do the work. So that's just the first of many resources that are coming down the pipe. We're also developing a supply chain tool as an example to help make you more visible to larger manufacturers and OEMs across the United States, so they can come to Utah and see who's here in Utah and what they're providing. It's a good way to help you find new business. In any case, if you're interested in leaning out your operations or finding international markets or improving your business in any way, and you're a manufacturer, you should learn about the Utah Industry Resource Alliance. You can reach out to me, or you can go to www.utahira.org, and you'll find all the information that you need there. So any questions on that? While you've got me, any questions about the Industry Resource Alliance and what it can do? Okay, then I'm going to turn things over to Nicole, who's going to tell you more specifically about those grant programs that we offer.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. As Jim mentioned, my name is Nicole, and as Hannah and Jim mentioned, this is more of a meeting. So as I go through these slides, if you have any questions, please let Hannah know. I'm happy to answer them during it to make this more interactive than me just presenting stuff. But here is my contact information, and Hannah will send out the slides. So if after the presentation a question arises, feel free to email me, call me, text me. Happy to answer those questions. So right now we are in the midst of COVID-19, and so some businesses are asking, what can I do now, and how can I, help my company go international? So these are some of the things that I recommend companies look at. Look at strengthening your brand, increasing your online presence, planning a strategy for your future, reevaluating your finances, and then checking out all available resources. And I'm going to tell you what resources we have available at World Trade Center Utah to help you do these things right now. So right now we have grants available for businesses. So the financial support to help you do these activities. Here are a couple of websites to note where you can find out more information about our grants. So we have our State Trade Expansion Program, and that is our STEP grant through the U.S. Small Business Administration. And we also have our Rural Business Development Grant. Today I'm going to focus on the STEP grant, but if you have any questions, reach out to myself, and Jim also helps administer the Rural Business Development Grant if you have any questions with that one. So with our STEP grant, what can it be used for? Here is a list. One of our main things, as Jim mentioned earlier, we are working with Salt Lake Community College and offering our Global Business Management course. It's going to be on Wednesday nights, both in person, and I know Ogden-Weber might be a little far away, so we are offering an online version, and STEP funds can actually help pay for the course. It's $995, and the STEP grant can help support 2 employees if you're part of a small business to take this course. It's a great way to learn the fundamentals of going international, and then having STEP funds support you to do this. Another thing is really to apply for a financial assistance award. Right now, here's a list of what you can use the STEP funds for. A lot of these are non-travel related, but this is perfect. So you can get these things done so that when we are able to travel, you're ready to go. Compliance testing, a lot of life science companies using that. If you're going to ship to a foreign market, STEP funds will cover that. Design of marketing media. We've had some awesome outdoor companies use this for brochures, videos, market research, website optimization, like Jim mentioned earlier, if an e-commerce presence is really important. So if you're ready, website optimization is a great thing to focus on, as well as translation. And it will also cover, step funds can cover international trade missions and trade shows. A lot of them have turned virtual, and if there's a participation fee, those can be covered by step funds. And I'm going to stay optimistic. Step funds will cover export-led trips. So as we move forward, I'll again stay optimistic and hope that we can start traveling soon, and step funds can cover those as well. Does
Nicole,
have questions?
Before we move on, Steve asked, does the compliant testing include UL certification?
So the compliance testing is of an existing product, and I would have to look into that. So if you would send me an email, I can't say yes or no right off the bat. I would have to do a little more research to see. But if it's an existing product to go international, then I would say yes. But yeah, I'd have to do a little more research on that.
And to add on to Nicole's answer there, you should be able to demonstrate how getting that certification will help you sell products internationally in order to get the STEP grant, right? It's a competitive grant. So there's lots of companies who are applying for it all the time. What the grant is looking for, the outcome, the metric we're looking for out of the grant is export sales, is new export sales. And so if that UL certification that you're looking for can help you or will help you with your export plan or with your international sales, then you have a much better shot of getting the grant than if it doesn't.
Thanks, Jim. So a little bit more about the STEP grant. You're probably wondering who is eligible. We are looking for small businesses headquartered in Utah. You can be in the service industry. We've worked with translation companies or products. I know we've worked with some really great outdoor companies located in Ogden who've gone with us to trade shows and used it for design of marketing media. Some might ask, well, what's the catch? There is a 25% match by the grant recipient. What this means is that we have, if you do receive the grant, that we'd have to see that you put 25% towards it. The reporting requirements, we look for surveys and we follow up because we want to know how you're doing and how World Trade Center Utah can further help. The great news is the applications are now open. There's no application fee and they can be found on our website. And happy to go over the application in further detail if you go and start filling it out and you have any questions. I'm here to help as well as my colleagues. Some other stuff I want to highlight. We also focus on what other national resources are available for your international efforts. One highlight is through U.S. Commercial Service. And my recommendation is if you are interested in this is for small and medium-sized businesses. I can put you in touch with, a lot of people know Shelby Dyack. I can give you her information, but this is an awesome service that I encourage companies to take part of sooner than later. The deadline for that is September 30th. So please, if you have any questions, we're in July, so contact us and we can point you in the right direction. And some of the other national resource organizations we work with, here's just a list. So if you are interested in working with them, we work with them closely. We have contacts. We've either put on a training or seminar with them. So for more information, here's the website. So if you want to find out about any of these, please contact me. And then here is some additional resources. As Jim mentioned earlier, I highly recommend going to our website, signing up for our newsletter, learning about upcoming virtual trade missions, any future webinars. I also encourage businesses to go to the COVID-19 website to learn more about the PPP and those other resources available. And then, of course, I want to thank our partners. We work with different people across the state, so thank you for letting us share this information, and I hope to see a STEP grant application from all small businesses out there. But if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to contact any of us. So not sure if there's any questions out there.
Everyone, the floor is now yours. If you have any questions, please let us know. And if you just want to put it in the chat, I'm happy to voice those questions, or feel free to unmute yourself, show your video so that we can get a brief chance to meet with you. Nicole, I have the first question though. When would STEP applications be due?
So the STEP grant is actually on a rolling basis. So I say the sooner the better. The great thing about the STEP application is you can start and then come back later and fill it out. It's one, just to really get to know your company, but it is open now on a rolling basis. The sooner the better. We do have a deadline of September 30th, 2020, where the international activity has to be done. But there are funds left, so the sooner the better, Hannah.
And Jim, a question for you. Do companies need to have any sort of documentation ready before they meet with you to talk about market research or anything like that? Or do they just need to give you a call?
I'd say just give me a call. Usually on those calls, I'll ask you a little bit about your industry. I'll ask you about your customer profile, right, who you're actually selling to. And I really just want to get a better sense of your goals and interests. You know, not everyone who's looking at international growth is looking for the same kind of outcome for their organization. So I can be very flexible. So I'd say call me, be prepared for some questions about your industry and your customers, and we'll go from there.
Great. Well, if no one else has any questions, I'll just end with one more question. Jim, Nicole, either one, or Brant, if you want to, why should companies be going internationally right now?
I guess that's probably the question that I can lead off the answer for. So there's a couple reasons why you'd want to look international. And the first and simplest is that there are more customers outside the United States, and there are more dollars, there's more money outside the United States to buy our product than there is in the United States. The United States is a huge, fantastic market, but there's a lot more opportunity outside the United States that you can pursue. And there's more resources available to you, particularly for small and medium-sized businesses, to pursue that business than there are resources for you to pursue that business in the United States. There's a lot of fantastic resources that the federal and the state government provides to help small and medium-sized companies to export. So that would be my first answer. The second answer is that a little bit more involved, which is that companies that export, or the companies that are involved in international business or getting international investment, have international supply chains, tend to do better during times of recession than companies that don't. When you have a diversified customer base, diversified revenue streams, a diversified supply chain, you tend to be better able to stand up against the disruptions like COVID-19. And so going international is a way in the long term to help your business become more resilient to fluctuations going on around the world. So there's my two answers. Anyway, Nicole, you want to jump in, Brant?
Yeah, so I would love to jump in. So you should go international. One, because World Trade Center Utah has that financial support to help you do so right now. So I'm encouraging anybody who's thinking about it. So we work from companies that are new to export to expanding into new markets as well as those that have already expanded into the market, but we do have those resources available. So now is a great time to take advantage of the financial support for a lot of those non-travel items. So I say go international.
That's great. Chuck is asking, potentially there's fear of going international with the taxes, tariffs, exchange rates, and language. What would you say to help ease some of those fears?
You're not doing it alone. That's the answer there. I absolutely agree that the disruptions that are happening in the global trade environment, totally separate from COVID-19, make it more difficult to do trade. That's why for the last 60 or so years, the United States has been pursuing a trade policy that helps make it easier to do business abroad. Now, we want to make sure that those policies are fair and enforced correctly. And so there's clearly some correction that needs to happen, and it is happening right now that's causing some of this volatility. But we care about, the US cares about that small businesses here in the United States are exporting and want to help you as much as possible. So whether it's through me, whether it's through the US Commercial Services, whether it's through getting a STEP grant or through our partners, there's a number of different resources to help you navigate the volatility there. And so you don't have to do it alone, right? It's not just you. So come to us and grow your business. That's what we're here to help you to do. So take advantage of us.
Great. Thanks so much, you guys. Thank you everyone for your questions, for your participation. As has been mentioned, we are recording this session. I will send you guys all the link to the recording. I will send you the slides, everyone's contact information, and all resources that have been mentioned. A link to all of those. Thank you so much for joining us. We know you guys are busy. We'll let you guys get back to your day, but we hope you have a great rest of your Monday. Thank you. And thank you again to Ogden City and Ogden-Weber Chamber of Commerce for partnering with us. Have a great day.